Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic, and welcome to this deep woo-woo episode entitled The Wacky Woo, of course, with our friend JSNIP4 and Penny Kelly. You can find Penny's work here at Penny Kelly on YouTube. Please do go and subscribe. Penny, welcome back to the show.
Good to be here.
Awesome to have you. We're going to have a lot of fun. And Joe, of course, you can find him on his backup channel, JSNIP4 2 Part 2. Joe, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me. It's going to be an interesting night tonight. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. I mean, there's stuff that just links I've been sending myself all day. Okay, do a video on that. Like, and some of them I'm just like, whatever, I'm not doing a video, but man, there's just stuff going on right now.
It's going rapid fire, and it's absolutely fun for me to have both of you on this show here tonight, too. A lot's going on, and as I was going through the list of everything that's happening, I was like, oh, but we can't talk about this. We can't talk about that. You know, we can't talk about that one, but maybe that one. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us here on this live interactive show. And if you guys were taking bets on how long it was going to take for me to get live tonight, and if you were betting around the 12-minute mark, you lost your bet because I'm only late here 11 minutes per my clock. So there you go, Mr. Cliff. Thank you for we were having fun with you because we could see your comments while we were preparing. Yeah. Show. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Okay, let's start here. Penny, you and I did this show a couple of days ago now. Let me bring this up on the screen for the audience here. It was the last Break in the Clouds episode. And in that show, we talked about one of your last look-sees that pertained to the white wall. You not being able to see past the white wall a couple of months ago when we started talking about this, and now suddenly you being able to see past it and what it all meant. Now, so folks, I encourage you to go watch that episode here. It's on the screen now, The Break in the Clouds. Now, Penny, since those last days here, what's new, what's coming up on your radar screen that we can add and build to this conversation here?
Couple things that I think really bothered me. I think when we were on the show, I had said 8th, 9th, and 10th of August. I was like, oh, man, it gets really crazy after that. Well, then on the 11th and the 12th, I don't know what I was doing, but I was looking at those dates for something. And the question came up, are we going to have internet? Are we going to have an internet on the 11th and 12th? And I don't know what I was setting up. But that really concerned me. And because that question wouldn't go away, I thought, okay.
How long ago was this?
How long, what? Say that again?
How long ago was this that you had this thought of 11th and 12th?
That was, I think it was Saturday or Sunday after JC and I did the Friday night thing. I was trying to set up an appointment or looking at something and going to schedule it for the 11th or 12th and thought, yeah, are we going to have internet? That question kept coming up. Are you going to have internet? Are you going? And I couldn't answer that. I didn't want to answer it with no, we're not. And I couldn't answer it with yes, we are. And so that had concerned me. The other thing that happened that really bothered me, Trump went to, I think it was Arizona, and he had a rally, and he walked out on the stage for that rally. And the instant that I saw him, I thought, what's wrong with him? Something is really wrong. And I don't know what that was. There was something missing there. I just felt like he was, I don't know, like he was either in danger or that he was not his usual self or that he was not feeling well at all. And that really bothered me. And you know, a couple other things have been the idea or the feeling, the awareness that we're going to hit the fan in terms of money. Much, you know, sooner than I saw, which was October. It's like, no, that's happening now. And so that it was like, and the pensions, I don't know what to say to people who have their pensions in some sort of fund, pension fund. I just, I don't know. Maybe I should be quiet right there. Your turn.
Okay. Well, you and I, Penny, are going to do part 2 to this look-see here in about 3 weeks. We're going to be tracking a lot of this data from here to there. Now, for the audience who might not have seen also the ET and human trafficking video that we did, maybe go and watch that. It'll give you a lot of background to what Penny is saying here tonight. Now, Penny, as you were recovering here, we did a healing meditation for you a couple of weeks ago. We're happy to announce you're feeling much better and you're back to your normal self. Have you had time to watch any of the videos from some of our favorite friends here who are producing material on these topics? And if so, is there anything that you want to highlight here to the audience?
The only thing I really had time to watch was Cliffy's Tidal Woo. And I think you had brought that up and said when we were talking last Friday, well, some of the things you're saying match what Cliffy is saying. And you brought that up. I think it was that one, Tidal Woo. And so I listened to that when I was on my way back from Grand Rapids and yesterday, and it was like, oh my God, I had been seeing these things, and when I watched that, it was like, well, damn, he's tracking stuff that's coming right out of our mouths and verifying that this is exactly what is going to happen, and it just backed up the stuff that I saw, and I was like, oh wow, I think stuff is going to be hitting the fan maybe sooner rather than later. And that is an adjustment because I was thinking end of September, beginning of October, and then from that point forward. But so many things, the financial thing I think is going to hit the fan sooner, the media thing, and I love all those lawsuits. OMG.
Right. There's a lot there. And of course, guys, go check out these last couple of episodes. Actually, if you haven't started here, I would probably start with the Tippy Woo. It'll give you the context of this tipping point, a video that Cliff and I produce. On that note, it is up and running on our site now. We have the load balancers. And thank you so much, Joe, for all of your help helping me here move this website to a new server, stronger server. And
that was a little slap pain in the ass.
Yeah, a little bit of a pain, yeah.
And I was somewhere not at home at the time. I'm trying to help him. I'm like trying to catch a plane. I'm trying to help him with layovers. Like, man.
I was a pain in the ass, I admit it, guys. And I was just struggling because we were working on the Patreon fix, and then we had this other issue of this DOS and a DOS attack and /dot effect with this episode here. So, man, it just put me back quite a way. So, again, big thank you to Joe here. And folks, again, this episode, if you haven't seen it, it's free for you guys to watch. Here, the link is on the screen now. I'll bring that back down to you. And the password, the coupon code, to make this episode free for you guys is Sun Your Balls, all in high caps. And you can submit that through the form and watch the episode for free afterwards. Go check it out. It'll bring you a lot of context to what we are going to be discussing here tonight. Okay, Joe, now you, in the last couple of days here, had this video with Woo Woo Dude. You recapped some of the previous forecasts, I guess going back almost since last September. You guys did a really good job at that, and also brought in quite a bit of new information. So can you spend maybe here the next 3 to 5 minutes here explaining to people the highlights of this show and why it pertains to the conversation we're going to have tonight?
Well, I mean, this really goes back early last year. I mean, a year and a half ago now, when I first started having one-on-one conversations with him, and him kind of telling me, this is what's going to be happening. I got feedback coming back.
Yeah, I do too.
There's no feedback here. So maybe Penny, bring your speaker volume down just a little bit, and same thing with you, Joe. But so far,
I got headphones on.
It's already at 24. Do you want it any lower?
Keep going, Joe. I don't hear any feedback. Cliff has
testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah,
That's good.
It's better. Yeah,
I've got a 5x5 now.
Okay.
All right. Echo, not feedback. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I usually use headphones. Just I don't have to deal with that.
Maybe I was speaking a little bit loudly here too. Okay, keep going, Joe.
Okay.
So I started last year, and still doing it. It's aggravating me. It's coming out right on the speaker and right in the mic. It's like this crazy echo I have.
Wow.
You sure it's not yours, JC? You have regular
No
speakers
echo
on?
here, and we're getting a bunch of 5x5s on the screen, Joe. I can't hear that echo you're talking about, Joe.
All right, well, we'll just keep going then.
Yeah. Penny, can you hear Joe and an echo from Joe?
Very, very faint.
Wow. Yeah, some people are hearing it in the chat.
Try to ignore it, Joe. Just keep going. I want to hear what Woo Dude said.
Yeah. See, it has to be yours, JC, because I'm hearing hers too.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute Penny and myself here while you're talking. Hopefully that will eliminate.
Oh, the mic, that'll work, yeah, because it won't come back. Perfect. I got people texting me. Let me make sure it's not something with this. Okay. Yeah, that's great. I don't hear nothing now. So this all goes back like last year. You know, he reached out to me. Joe, my guys want me to work with you and open you up and bring some gifts out, this and that. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. And of course, I've been having incredible dreams of the last year and a half. I don't even hardly talk about them, honestly. As many as I've had, I just write them down and I keep them to myself and I wait for them to come true. And I go, okay, I kind of figure out where I am in my own little timeline, because it seems like it's a timeline actually. But he had talked to me about China, the things are happening in China, the flooding, crop problems, all this stuff. And he mentioned one of the main things was China's gonna right when they're getting ready to, let's say, do something to one of their non-allies, they all of a sudden have a lot to deal with, from food to flooding. He said there was a third thing that he was not shown yet. So he says that there's a food issue, a flood issue. He goes, I don't know what the third one is, but there's 3 things they're going to have to deal with. And they're really going to, their people are going to need them, because there's going to be some major problems that they're going to just have to deal with at home. So they're not really going to be able to do much of anything. Yeah, I'm seeing some of the comments. Someone says echoed. Woo dude. Should be okay now though. So we've got these problems. The other day, which I'm going to say is probably a month ago now, he says, Joe, I had the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life happen to me when I was driving. And ask your woo-woo people if they, I don't know, got a warning or something. I don't want to say, don't tell them what it is yet, because I don't want people to know in advance. I want to see if someone else really got exactly what I got, because he goes, this is just crazy. And so I asked, but no one really got the same thing that he got. But his warning, he said, I saw one of these, mantis beings in my third eye, in my brain. I was wide awake. I was thinking he was even driving, and it gave him a verbal warning. We're getting ready to attack. And it was more of not a threat to him. It was more of I'm just giving you a heads up kind of a thing. And he goes, I had no control over it. I couldn't talk back to it. It was literally like a pre-recorded message that it decided right now is time to send it out. So he goes, I was just wondering, was anybody else in your woo-woo group kind of people, whatever, did they get that kind of a warning at the same time or something, because if I can hear it, I thought, well, maybe others could have heard it, that have psychic abilities. I was like, yeah, I'll ask, but no one really said they had that. But he does have a thing in the back of his neck. I see someone with the pen up. Are you scratching your face, or do you have? Okay. And he's got a little bump on the back of his neck that there's something in there that he knows about, that happened to him one night. He told me about, and he's mentioned this on my show one time. I was like, well, maybe that was why you got the communication. Had a direct link to you. Maybe he goes, I don't know. I really don't know, but that was very recent. And he still tells me, day by day, like, man, we're getting close. Like I can feel it. And the other day he said, I saw dominoes dropping, like the big boards where they do stuff and knock stuff down, and they go for, a long time. He goes, it's one of those, but they're just like the dominoes things. They actually trigger stuff like the dominoes do, where they'll not just knock each other down. They'll hit something, and then like a ball falls down a tube or like that. And he goes, and these are like triggering events. And I saw the first domino get flicked down, and it's now unstoppable. It's moving. And as it hits the events, it's just going to keep going, event to event. So he's like, we're in that mode now. And then before that, he had the picture of, or vision of God. He said, I saw God's hand on the king on a chessboard, and he was getting ready to make a move. which everyone's like, well, why wasn't it the queen? Isn't the queen the most powerful? You know, it's like, I don't know. The king of kings. I don't know. Just he said he saw the king. So what? And it was getting ready to make a chess move. You know, so all this stuff is gearing up, and all of a sudden you can see the deep state really, really speeding up. And as he said the other day, you know, you're going to start, it's really getting going now. He goes, it's just really going to speed up. And if you remember what he said last year was that it's kind of going to happen around the same time. We're going to be dealing with all kinds of little stuff, not necessarily little, at the same time, or generally speaking, the same time frame. And as I mentioned, I was just on a flight the other day, and I was supposed to be leaving this week, and something was telling me in my whole body, you get your ass out there this week, which was last week. You get out there immediately and hurry up and get your shit done and get back fast. So I'm like, all right, Evelyn, I'm changing plans. I'm going this week. And she's like, well, you know, that kind of makes better sense for me. I got appointments coming up. And I go, all right, good, perfect. So I left, did my thing, and it's the day before I'm coming back. And I'm far from Florida, actually, okay? And I wasn't in New Mexico, but I get an email from American Airlines, CEO, American Airlines. Just so you know, there's a possibility that flights could be delayed. We notice you're in such and such area, and your flight's scheduled for tomorrow. We're having employment problems and fuel truck employees and fuel truck problems, and you know there could be delays. And I'm going. At first, I thought this was a spammy thing. I'm like, I didn't just really get this. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, no, this is from them. This is really from them. And I'm going, shit, man, am I gonna be able to make it back on time? I'm like, damn it, no wonder why I was feeling this urgency. But there's actually another part to what I was doing out there, which I'll have to tell another time. I'm kind of sworn to secrecy right now on what I was doing. But that story in itself was incredible. And I'll tell people when the time is right about what happened when I was out there. And how, again, timing, you couldn't make this up. Like for me to be out there on the day I was out there and then come back, it was just incredible. Spiritual, like spirit God was like, yeah, this was meant to be. So anyways, I'd make it home, and here we are this week, the week I was supposed to go, and I'm seeing from yesterday, maybe it was the day before, Spirit Airlines closed down 400 something flights, many out of Puerto Rico, and then all of a sudden it was another one. I forget if it was Delta or America now. It might have been America. They shut down out of Dallas Fort Worth, and I go, son of a bitch, that's where my main layover was both times. Actually, no, the way back, it was Dallas Fort Worth. And actually, when I do go to New Mexico, it's usually always Dallas Fort Worth that I have a layover, but I didn't this time. So on the way back, I did. And I'm like, oh my God, I just skated by the skin of my teeth on this because I would have been stuck. And all these people are stuck. They're sleeping on the floor. People are complaining. I've got 1 and 2 year olds. I don't have my luggage. You guys have my effing luggage. I can't even get my diapers. Like, people are freaking out. They can't get on the planes. It was chaos. And again, real or imagined issues, because I go back to the lumber shortage, and I got videos of people everywhere in lumber yards going, there's lumber everywhere. It's just sitting here. It's wrapped up. It's in plastic. It's ready to go. What's going on? Why is it being delivered? And here's another one for you. The hospitals are packed. The hospitals are packed. Oh my God, the ER is packed. And we go over there with our cameras, and there's nobody in the hospital. So I say that because, again, real or imagined, they're saying there's a problem, and people are stuck at an airport, bottom line, period. So whether there's really an employment issue or fuel issue or whatever is irrelevant. They're making you stuck regardless. So you can see it ramping up, and we got Cuomo today, Joe Biden telling Cuomo, yeah, you should resign. The deep state telling the left telling the left, go ahead and resign. And then that one Attorney General, DA or whatever she is, Letitia, out of New York, Southern District of New York, we're going to get Trump. We're going to get him. And they tried to file this nonsense on him the other day about his tax returns. And we're going to get a grand jury indictment on him. He's like, I've already given it to the IRS. They've looked it over. They're the tax authorities, not you. They don't want nothing to do with this. What are you guys doing? Again, another nonsense thing. But it's that lady who came out, and I saw it today, and I'm watching her. I got the videos if we want to end up playing. It doesn't have to be played, but her thing, Cuomo, we were done with our investigation, and, we think he's guilty, basically, with sexual harassment of all these women. And as I'm watching her give the statement, easy to see the body language, the facial expression, the demeanor of herself. She does not want to be up there. She does not want to be saying what she's saying. It's all over her face. She's being forced, in my opinion, to say what she said. And that doesn't mean it's not true. It doesn't mean like she just made it up like we're charging Cuomo. They're really going to charge Cuomo. She probably doesn't want to have to, and her arms being twisted behind her back. Guess who's in charge now? You're going to do it. Oh, okay. All right. So she came out, in my opinion, and that's why her demeanor is not happy. It is, I have to say these things, and her facial expression said, if, you know, a facial expression could speak, holy crap. So that's happening. Biden's telling him, yeah, you should step down. And one of the people I follow on Twitter, that guy I mentioned you guys privately a minute ago, John Here to Help, who has honestly been right on everything he said for the last like 2 to 3 years. He just recently said, oh, well, you know, we know what the other charge would have been that we're trying to push on them, which is sending old people off to their death in the old people's homes and, you know, with COVID. And he goes, what happens if they charge him for the lesser harassment nonsense? It'll just go away. He'll be gone. He's retired. He resigns. They won't go. He says they will not go further to prosecute him for the worst crime. He's out of the way. He's out of the picture. People think justice has been done. He's just gone. So, in other words, take the lesser thing, dude. You're out of here. So again, and Biden's telling him, yeah, go for it. Go ahead and step down, resign. So what did Woo tell us also? This was not too awfully long ago, but it's been a few months. You're going to see the left, the Democrats essentially, but the left eating themselves. They're going to go after each other. Remember that? So here we have it. The Democrat AG or whatever her title is, she's going after him. And she didn't want to. Her facial expression said, no, I don't like what I'm doing right now, but she did it. When she was talking about Trump stuff, oh, we're going to get a grand jury. She was not in the same demeanor. She was happy and, oh, we're going to get him, basically kind of a mindset. That's not what I saw today. And then we have another issue I saw recently. I'll end with this one. And you don't forget to unmute yourselves in a second. Fauci. And I got the video saved too. And I'm listening to him speak. And I go, that's not even his voice. It doesn't sound like him anymore. Where's his New York Jew voice? And everyone's like, yeah, what is up with that? Everyone's commenting on Twitter. And some leftists, oh, well, you know, he had vocal reconstructive surgery, I heard recently. And give me a break. Enough of this nonsense, you morons. Stop it. That's not him, and I just heard him just recently too, and he sounded fine. We had the vocal, you know, surgery a day apart. Give me a break. So I don't understand. I don't know what's going on, but I think things behind the scenes are definitely going on, ramping up. We got these oil tankers or these ships out near Iran. We lost control. Something controlled our ships. We're stuck. There was one of them. No, there's 5 or 6. I don't even know. Again, stuff is ramping up. And then might as well share this too, because we talked about that. I can definitely share this. So I have a friend that I know has a guy that has in DC that's a friend of his. I know who he is. I know who the guy is. Okay. So I know what he's telling me is true. I've known this. He sent me a text today with a picture of a Bible verse. And on top of the Bible verse, it just has the dates for August 10, 11, 12. And then below it has the Bible verse, something about putting on the armor of God. I guess paragraphs 10, 11, and 12, or verses or whatever it is. So there's a certain letter of the alphabet we all know about that posted things. And they sometimes would quote a specific Bible verse about the armor of God. Something about putting on the armor of God. It's a quote. General Flynn, I think, has actually quoted it once or twice. So 10, 11, and 12, same Bible verse thing, interesting. And Penny had mentioned she got something very recently about those dates. I think yours was the 11th and 12th, and I got 10, 11, and 12th. So maybe, Penny, do you want to talk a little bit about that? If you want to unmute, you guys.
Okay, hold on a second, Joe. I'm going to mute yours in case you're creating feedback. So let me bring Penny on the screen here. Penny, before I ask you to answer that one, I just want to go to the PayPal tip jar here. And thank you so much, everyone, for the donations. Rhonda is asking, please ask if they see U.S. flooding, and specifically here, is Texas safe? Can you guys both address that? Because in your past streams and in some of your look-sees, we had addressed this in the past, but what's the current status on the idea of U.S. flooding? Let me start with you, Penny, then I'll ask Joe, and then we'll go back to Penny here to look at the 10, 11, and 12 date significance. Penny.
Okay. So the first thing I would ask is, what year are you talking about? Texas does flood every time there's a hurricane that hits, their southern borders. But that whole issue, if you go back to, like Joe just said, the 17th letter of the alphabet, one of the things that they said over and over again was watch the water. And there's been flooding, and I saw the mountains of trash piled up in Belgium, northern Germany. Like, oh my God. Oh, washing machines and refrigerators and cars and the houses just shredded. And my thought, and then right after that was flooding in, I think it was Saudi Arabia or Dubai. And then the flooding in China. That just scares me to watch it, because I saw a year ago that the big dam would go down in September. It didn't go down last September. And I thought, oh, we're past the danger. Well, when that big storm Hurricane Infa, they call it something else. Hurricane Infa was hitting China, that it was going to pass right over that whole flooded area that's already overwhelmed. And I thought, that sucker is going to go. I don't know how it's still holding up. It's already got a kink in it, etc. And flooding in so many places. And I was so aware that in one of the I might forget which class it was. I was teaching a class and we were looking ahead. Maybe it was Intuition 2. And so people they're learning how to look and how to see. And what came back as we did the reporting, okay, I saw this, and next one, okay, I saw that, and so on and so forth, was when we get around, I'm going to say somewhere around between 2027 and 2037, something big has happened. There are fewer people. There's water in a lot of places where there was never water before. A lot of stuff is different, and the attitude, not only are there people from other planets moving around among us and working with us, they trigger a little bit of racism in some people and a whole lot of gratitude in others, and this awareness. We would not have made it without them. And I've had several groups now that have seen this troubled period between 2027, which is 6 years from now. And then up on, I forget what I was looking at. A long time ago, I saw a lecture by John Moore, Moore, I think is his name. And he was talking about this planet, which I had read about in Popular Mechanics years and years and years ago, because my dad used to subscribe to that. It was one of the few books that we had in our house. And so he would get one of these once a month, and we would read it. And I remember reading different things and thinking, that's interesting. But in this Popular Mechanics was this story of this planet that was coming right at us. And people were kind of freaking out about that. You couldn't see it. It was a long ways out. They said it's not going to be here for a long time. And I think it either got forgotten about or something. I don't know. But there he was talking about that planet, doing a flyby. And he didn't say dates. I don't remember if he said any dates. I was too shaken up by what he was saying. But that really struck me. And coming right at a time that I was already remembering the 17th letter saying, watch the water, that planet flyby, whatever it was. I don't know if it's a Zecharia Sitchin thing, because I never really liked Zecharia Sitchin, and I didn't think what he was talking about made any sense, although I've accepted some of the things since then. I've read his stuff twice. But that just, it struck me that, wow, that's, if that planet flies by, if it's anywhere around us, and we begin to have plasma discharges between the planets, wherever those plasma, we're talking about plasma discharges, lightning, and between planets, it would be, the lightning strike would be 20 miles wide and 10 miles thick, and between you and that other planet, and would last long enough that until that planet moved on a little bit and the connection was broken. It's like, oh my God. And here's this guy, he's coming back around. He's still saying, we need to prepare. That's what the deep state is preparing for. That's what they're trying to reduce population. That's why they're trying to reduce population, is because of this. They don't want a bunch of wild things left on the surface when they come back out of their caves and their deep underground military bases and stuff. And so for me, the whole thing about, watch the water and flooding is, what happens in Texas. It's like, okay, that's a drop in the bucket. And when are we actually talking about? But I think that the weather wars have heated up to a point of ridiculousness, and that's why Belgium had their flooding. That's why China's having its flooding. That's why the U.S. has a drought. The way that they usually do it is drought, downpour, drought, downpour, and you get when the ground hardens, the downpour just rolls off and takes everything with it. So I don't know. I haven't really looked specifically at Texas, but I am so aware of the need to be somewhere on higher ground, in a place where the water isn't too likely to roll too far. I mean, it was one of the things I saw with the little men in brown robes, was the planet did a wobble and the ocean splashed. Oh, it was not good. And so because we are so emotionally in a state of total uproar, we don't recognize how tightly we are connected to the planet, the sun, the moon, the stars. We don't realize what we're doing to ourselves.
Right.
And it's time. We need to finish waking up.
Okay, let me unpack a few things there, and Joe, I'll come back to you for that question about the waters. So first and foremost, guys, if you're interested in some of these books, in particular this one here, The Robes, which Penny was just talking about, this sets the context for all of our ET experiences, the future books, and where we are here today. You can find that at consciousnessonfire.com. It's Penny Kelly's new and improved website here, and also want to remind you folks to please go and subscribe to her new newsletter, which just came out a day or two ago, I think. So guys, go sign up for that and stay tuned with all the further developments here from Penny that way. Now, I did tweet this just the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, billionaires are segregating themselves on luxury private islands and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, to avoid apparently what's happening now on the surface population, but apparently listening to what Penny has to say here, there's more perhaps behind them moving to these secret places. Now,
that's a terrible mistake. Oh my God, those islands will be washed away in a hot second.
That's not a mistake, then. That's great news
for the rest of humanity. Okay, hold on a second here. Let me bring this up here too, because you talked about these electrical plasma storms, and of course, this is the Trench Marinaris on Vallis on Mars, and it is very similar and reminiscent to a lot of the petroglyphs that Joe and I have been finding everywhere in New Mexico, and of course, we're talking about this plasma squatting man. There's a lot of history in our caves about these events, and of course, the elites know about this, and this again is what what Penny was referring to here in passing. Now, in terms of the planet, was it Planet X? Is it Planet 10? I'm not sure what it is either. Is Zachariah Sitchin on page? I don't know. But it reminded me of this movie from 2011. It was called Melancholia. And this was about a planet that was about to collide with Earth here. And people were coming to grips with the realization that things were maybe not as they appeared to be. So anyways, it's a fascinating movie. It's depressing.
Look at the release date.
2011.
11/11/2011.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go watch that movie again. Anyways, I wanted to bring all of that in. It ties into the conversation. Joe, now with you, your dreams, you've talked about this on previous Wacky Woos, about these huge walls of water, these huge tidal waves coming in. What can you share maybe with that, to recap that, and also maybe more recent impression stuff, either from your dreamscape, all of your cataloging of your shamanic dreamings, or in some of your conversations here with Woo Woo Dude? Well, let's talk about the water.
Yeah, so not too long ago, I had one where a friend of mine that I used to work with, this lady, Jennifer, I was at a pool in my old apartment complex. Nobody was in the pool. I'm just standing there, and I had, I forget what it was in my hand, some kind of electronic device, and it got wet. It was in my pocket. And I go, oh crap, it got wet. So I was like wanting to like shake it out in case it was still, I could still use it. And I'm like, I peeked in there. I go, oh no, I'm gonna have to really open it up. So I opened it up, and all of a sudden it turned into like a laptop-sized hard drive, like a little mini 2.5-inch hard drive. And then all of a sudden it spills the water out over the pool, but then a black blob, like the size of my fist right here, like this, comes out, lands in the pool. From that, and I go, ooh, what is that? Like that came out of this. I was like, ooh. So I'm just watching it. It's kind of just floating by itself, and it doesn't dissipate or anything. It just stays in its own self and just starts heading towards the deep end. When my friend Jennifer bends over and lays down, and like I'm watching her watch the blob. I didn't know what she was going to do. I'm just watching, and then all of a sudden, as it gets right up to her, she's about to stick her face in there and drink from it. And I go, no, stop! It's poison. It'll kill you. It's toxic. And she stops right at the last second. I'm like, oh my God, I just saved your life. Like, what are you doing? And then I wake up. So within days of this, there's all this crap happening. There's a hack. One of the water plants got hacked, and they upped this chemical that would have killed people if you would have drank, even a tiny bit of the water from your faucet. That happened. And we had safety protocols. We would have caught it even if the first stage didn't catch it. So you guys were safe. Okay. And then there was something else someone sent me somewhere else, another similar water event, that something with like poisonous water. Or actually, I think it was like in Belgium or some other country. I posted on Patreon, I think. And I'm like, oh, wow, here's a second one. And the guy's like, hey, there's 400 people in our town that, they just basically they drink poison water. And I'm like, wow, okay, interesting. So I thought, well, is this the new thing they're going to do to us? I don't know. But that's just my, I got the dream. I wasn't sure what all it meant for sure. But even before that, and before that, and then way before that, my wife had some dreams about floods right here in our area where we live. And she swears, she goes, and I saw that tree. She goes, that tree. I was talking to her the other day. I go, which tree was it? She goes, I think it was the smaller one right over there. It fell down. It was flooding and stuff. And of course, this season, we got hurricane season, and we're probably going to get hit, well, at least with lots of rain at the very least. But I had quite a bit of rain hit my property this year because we had some rain, and then my little pond that I drove the Jeep into was filled to the top. And then that hurricane came through. It didn't hit us, but the outer bands got us, and then it just flooded all over. My whole front driveway was flooded for a few days, actually. And I'm thinking of what Julianne had told me probably 2 or 3 times now during channeling, and she said, yeah, you'll be moving to New Mexico. You're going to be forced to. And she said, you'll know. It's not going to be like all of a sudden panic, Florida. It's going to be, you will have the signs. You will see the signs that it's time to get out. And it has absolutely everything to do with water and flooding. But you'll have ample time to even sell the place, because people are not going to care. They're going to want to move anyways. That you'll sell your house and you'll have time to get out. And I'm like, okay. But I've had at least a few dreams myself of flooding. And usually, like a couple times, I knew I was in Florida, and then other times I don't know where I was. There's flooding, and then recently saw all the floods that just happened. I remember having a really vivid dream. I was at a subway station, and someone was outside looking up like the stairs, but they stayed there where I could see them, and I'm like ready to get on this train, the subway. Like if he says go, 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 I'm going, because that means water's coming. And the guy above him was looking to see out in the city, is it coming? And he's like, yells, yeah, go, go. So he tells me, yes, go. I'm the only one on the damn train. So I hit a button, I go backwards, I go, shit, wrong way. Press the other button, and I go out and I go up above, and I'm like on stilts or whatever above the town looking around now. And I'm like, oh my God, I've never, ever, ever seen destruction like this. This flooding event was unbelievable. You've never seen it, like Hollywood movie style, like just giant city destroyed, just couldn't believe it. And then I started seeing some of the footage from Germany and the people in China. They're inside a subway station, neck deep in water. Oh my God. I'm like, holy shit, man, I was in a subway. They kept showing me in the subway. And then after that, like it was probably a month or two after that, I had this other dream, I guess the more recent one of them. And I specifically remember subway, London, and the word tube station kept coming in. Tube station, tube station. And I just woke up going, huh. So I was like, well, tube station. I go, we don't use that term here. I go, but I think in like London and those places, they use the word tube station. So I looked it up online. I go, oh yeah, cool. My friend Steven, all of a sudden, Crypto Karaoke, he just has this thought to look about XRP, Ripple, something, even though I'm talking about this, subway thing. And he goes, Joe, there's a street right down for where you're talking about called Ripple Road. I go, really? I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, it's right over here. I said, what the hell makes you look at that, dude? I'm talking about dreams and shit. He goes, I don't know. I just had this feeling I needed to go do that and then tell you about it. And there's a thing called Ripple Road. So maybe there's a correlation, like as the floods come, get ready. Ripple's soon-ish will be ready to make its move and start getting going. So I know floods are coming, and you're muted, by the way.
Okay. Let me bring up this comment from Cliff here. It says, New Mexico will flood. It used to be 300 feet underwater. I'm going to say probably depending on where in New Mexico, because I believe the area, Joe, we're in, without going into the mountain, we're probably at 3,000 feet above.
No, 5,000, 5,500, I think.
That's the mountain. But I think
that's 7,500.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
The town. And we were in the lower part of the town. The other place that I like is even higher.
Right. Okay, even better.
I think we're good. Honestly, I feel like I'm okay there.
In that area. Okay, yeah. That's interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay, so that's a whole long topic on water. So thank you. Ronnie, I think, was asking that question. And it makes sense because I wanted to bring this in here too. I don't know if it's predictive linguistics or what you call predictive programming, but Forbes had this out a while back about this doomsday map that the Navy had put together. Let me bring these comments out of the way so we can see a little bit better here. But yeah, they were showing all of this flooding here. New Mexico is pretty high here, so I'm not sure what Cliff is alluding to. But at any rate, does this look familiar to you, Penny, as you looked into 2026 time frame, or is it worse than that? Is it less than that?
Well, by the way, there's other maps that are similar that don't have as much, like on the west coast as that goes in. Just FYI, there's like 2 or 3 main maps that go around. They're different from each other, but kind of similar.
Right, because I believe that Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico,
those should all be safe.
The 4 corners are probably going to be safe. And of course, we're referring here to the Hopi prophecies. Okay, back to you, Penny, on that. Does that ring a bell here in terms of the waters here in North America?
Unfortunately, I years and years ago, I happened to read a prediction by somebody wrote to Edgar Casey and said, where are the safe places in the U.S. and for when Earth changes happen? And he said there are 2 places. One is somewhere in Virginia, right on the water. I was like, how the hell is that going to be safe? The other place was a 50-mile wide strip along the Michigan-Indiana border, which is right where I am. And I did not know that when I bought this property. But a couple times after we bought it, more than a couple, I would have this thought, I always wanted to live on the water. What the heck am I doing here in the middle of cornfields and grape vineyards? And one day I got this little message, and it was, just wait, you're going to be on the edge of the water. And when I saw that map that you just had up, I was like, oh, that does not look like I want to be where I'm underwater there, and I'm at 1,300 feet above sea level, where I am right now. And that, it may be a little bit higher even, but my own feeling is that where I am is going to become an island. Now, this is in the future a little bit, but still, you need time to arrange your life and get other housing. Somebody just asked me last night in the tea, is Grand Rapids safe? And it is safe for now. I don't know how long that lasts, maybe 7-8 years, maybe less. But I think as a population, we really need to be much more self-sufficient than we have been, a lot more. Mm-hmm. So if you're not thinking along those lines, it's time to start.
Yeah, I can tell you, Julianne, at least for me, and I think this would affect everybody, honestly, because if she's seeing problems in Florida, then I think there'll be problems in other places too that are going to have the problems. But she's like, we see approximately 2-year time frame from now.
Oh,
so, and that was like early this year. So you're talking 2022 to 2023 ish, when the problems start becoming visible. And she says, you're going to realize it's time to move. And your wife's not, I know she doesn't want to go, but she's going to be telling you, I think it's time to go, Joe. Yeah. And you're going to say, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Wow. I like this comment here from Ronnie. I resonate with that too. Like, yeah, I choose to be positive here, but I'm still prepared for the worst. Like, that's just an old Boy Scout thing, right? I mean, back in 99, we had an ice storm here, and we were like 30 days without power in some places. And of course, it helps to be prepared. So, and now let's talk about everything that's going on in the States now, how so I'm just going to pivot here very quickly to that episode of The Tipping Point I did with Cliff High. And in that episode, we talked about one of his tweets, which was this one here. So it's July 24th, 2021, the Great Awakening of Humanity birthday. And what was interesting about that is that we would probably not know if that was the case on that day, that it could take a while for us to go, aha, and then look back and say, aha, yes, that was the pivot point. Let me bring
that's an interesting date too, because remember we would do it about his 20th, 7 days before, 7 days after. He was just like, they're just telling me,
right?
So like it's significant for some reason,
right?
That would fit right in there too.
Absolutely. And in my conversation earlier today with Sherry Divban, she was also talking here about July 24th, or that week, being very significant for her as well. She does a lot of intuitive healing for children and who are extremely gifted and who have these connections with ETs, and she's kind of like the interpreter of some of these messages, I guess, for the children here, and she's bringing back that knowledge here to people on YouTube and to her books and to her website. Anyway, she also talked about that week being extremely significant in this tipping point. So when I showed her the Tippy Woo video and all that, she's like, "Yo, yeah, I know what you mean. We're all feeling these weird energies." And what she kept saying is, we're going full circle here, and it's all hands on deck. We are now at that pivot point where it is all hands on deck. Let's speak to that a little bit. Let me bring you up on the screen here, Penny. What do you make of that idea that it's all hands on deck right now, that we're on that pivot point? What can you tell the audience?
I would agree 100%. I think that tipping point, that pivot point, whatever you want to call it, is probably going to last about 2 months, maybe 3. During that time, I don't know, but I think what I keep running into is that the biggest issue for people is going to be like one shock after the next coming out. I thought I knew a lot, and then I got an email yesterday, and I don't know that we can talk about it, but I'm going to suggest that people look up or do a little search on the word Midazolam. It's Midazolam. And what's coming out around that drug is pretty sad. It's very sad. And you want to look at how that was used in England, in the nursing homes in England. And there's a couple of articles out there. I can send them to you afterwards if you want to read them. But they're it's like, oh. And midazolam is used to ease people into their death. It's an end of life comfort care thing for people who are not at the end of life, and especially people who are, I'll say, in their 80s. The dosage is like 0.125 or 0.5 milligrams. And the directions that came out with that drug in England for use in nursing homes was 10 milligrams. That's like 2,000% more than it should have been. And if people have COVID and they're having difficulty breathing, and this drug causes your breathing to be much shallower, why would you ask anybody to give people that drug? Mm-hmm. And it begins to look pretty sinister. So, that's one of the things that I think, even for myself, it was like, and the story about the water that Joe just told, stuff in the water. Oh, whoops. Oh, we made a mistake. Oh, 400 people are sick or dead. Mm-hmm. What is it we have to be paying attention to? And it's everything. And I think the sorrow that's going to arise from realizing that the water was poisoned and the food was destroyed and the nutrition was destroyed in that food. The medical system was, I'll say they're probably trying to do their best, but it isn't what people needed in a lot of cases. The educational system is destroying the genius in each child. I just think that all hands on deck means people, stop, sit down, shut your mouth, shut your, shut off your connections for a minute and do nothing. Just do nothing and think. So when I say do nothing, I mean do nothing except think, and think about, what are you seeing? Mm-hmm. What are you watching? What is it you're experiencing? Why is it that we are seeing all this stuff and we're just going about our business? We're acting a little bit crazy, and I don't think that can last. And so it bothers me a lot to see people stuffing all of that anger, because if they lose control of that stuffing, it's going to be like a jack in the box.
I have to echo what you just said here. In my last interview with Cliff, Beyond Alta here, he was talking about exactly what you're just saying now here, the need to really step back and pay attention and to really look as to what it is you're seeing before you react. So he was tweeting also about the fact that if people are pressing you to go and react to the events, to maybe delay would be the best tactic until you can really understand what's going on. And what's going on, again, in the context of this episode, is that we are at war. We've been at war, and we're at that tipping point where a lot of the normies are going to come to that realization. And this is when everybody starts to get unity as to how to move forward and to defeat this enemy, to call it that here. So yeah, very interesting times. And Catherine is reminding me here, Catherine Humphreys, hey, what happened to your conversation about the 11-12? 10-11? Okay, we have so many things we want to talk about here tonight, folks, and we're doing our best to kind of share everybody's knowledge and also take some questions here from the audience. So I appreciate that you guys are patient here, but we're getting to all of this here, and we're actually an hour in. So it's just a fabulous conversation amongst friends here. So Penny, let's go back here to the 10, 11, 12. You started at the beginning of the show saying that you had targeted and zoomed in on those dates. Cliff High has also emailed a few people here in the last couple of weeks. Joe, if you want to bring up that email, I think you posted it for your Patreons. I'll ask you to maybe set that up here after Penny gives her bit, so we can share some of that at least with the audience here. So Penny, what do you see around mid-August to late August here, and how does that tie in to the conversation here tonight?
I'll say what I started to say before. I was trying to set a date for something, and it was August 11th or 12th or somewhere in there, and I think it was the 11th. And my intuition kept asking me, "Are you going to have internet?" And that question would not go away. And when I tried to say yes, I think we're going to have internet, it was like, "Are you sure?" And then when I said no, then I got all upset, and it was like, well, don't schedule that for that day. And so long story short, either something is going to break open with the internet, or it's going to go down, or something is going to happen. All of the media that is moving around, people are getting that media, on their iPad or on their phone or whatever. It just looked like either the internet wasn't working, or the media wasn't working, or something wasn't working that was pretty serious. And that kind of scared me. It was like, we need the internet. We need to be able to communicate with one another. So that was basically it.
Okay, very good. And how does this relate? So Joe, you can come up next. Let me bring you up on the screen here. Cliff retweeted that, I believe, this morning. Janine also yesterday, and I talked about this in our last Tarot by Janine's Uncensored episode, which is available now on the website. Does this relate to what we're seeing on the screen here? And let's watch our language here to not.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
Very possible.
I'm just going to nod and say I think that has maybe everything to do with it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, for anyone that came in late, because we kind of started off with this,
right?
I had said I have a friend that I know has call it an insider or just a higher level person in DC. I know the guy's name of who my friend's referring to. So I know when he says so-and-so, I know exactly what he's talking about. Well, so-and-so has contacts, of course, too, being there. And one of his contacts gave him this screenshot that I shared verbally with you guys earlier about the 10th, 11th, and 12th. Mm-hmm. And he sent that to me today. So just to recap, he just said this is all he sent. And it's circled 10th, 11th, and 12th of August. And then below that, and another, it's one screenshot, but below it shows a Bible verse about putting on the armor of God. I guess paragraph 10, 11, and 12. Go ahead.
One of the things that, and I've kind of ignored this because I don't want to see it, but one of the things that I have, that we are so close to is actual war, like hot fighting kinetic war. And when you just said putting on the armor of God, what flashed through my head was that's a missile. And that then connected to all that war talk that has been going on in the background. Nobody wants to make the preemptive strike. They keep trying to make somebody else make the first strike because nobody wants to blame for starting anything. Mm-hmm. But we are that close to hot war, and that is very frightening. So,
well, and if you've seen Iran lately, or excuse me, Israel, I just saw it 2 days ago. Oh, we've got to go. We have to target Iran. We've got to hit them. We've got to hit them. We got to strike. I'm like, here we go. And I always think of Cliff and his damn Israeli mistake language. That would not be a good thing. But I'll finish too by saying, everybody, so this 10, 11, and 12 thing, that came in today from my friend. He goes, hey, this is what so-and-so got from his guy and shared with me. Didn't say what was going to happen. He just said, here, circle these dates, put on the armor of God, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And again, our 17th letter friend had mentioned that Bible verse more than once. I think General Flynn has mentioned it more than once about putting on the armor of God. And then those of you who follow that guy on Twitter, John Here to Help, that guy is akin to like Entheo Shines. He's made claims and said things, not even necessarily putting in a format to where he's making a claim. He'll just say it. And then people go, oh my God, you tweeted this 3 months ago or 6 months ago. Holy shit. You know, and then it's happening exactly as he like kind of suggested, you know, oh, they're going to do, you know, if this happens, they're going to do that. And then it happens with a little bit too much detail of being like that, too much detail to get right on accident too many times. Yeah. So his today, I'm going to have to skip some words cautiously. I have now been told and had it confirmed by 3 different very reliable and very well-placed people. Now, when this guy says that, I take his word for it 100% because I've been following him for like 3 years now. Yeah. And he's legit. So it's told and confirmed by 3 very reliable, very well-placed people that a certain person that has the letter T in their name is on their way back to visit all of us soon. I'll stop there. I don't need no more details.
I have heard that as well.
Okay. Yes, and I've been hearing the same thing as well from different sources, and also some of our other psychic friends who come on the show. So that's very interesting. Joe, is it appropriate? I know that Cliff sends us some private messages from time to time. Is there a portion of that last one that we can
I think it's totally, yeah, I don't think he had any issues, just from what I remember reading.
So essentially, okay, so do you have that to bring up now? Do you want to read it? We can share it with the audience?
Yeah, I should.
Okay. While Joe picks that up, folks, I'd like to ask you to please remember to like, share, and subscribe here on our third backup channel here at Jean-Claude at BeyondMystic 3. And also scoot on over to Joe's backup channel here, JSNIP4 2. We are rebuilding that community as well. So please do go hit. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing that screen with you guys. There you go. Please do go and hit that subscribe button there as well. And while you're at it, let's go and subscribe also to Penny Kelly. If you're not familiar with her work, a lot of her content is free here for everyone to see on her YouTube channel. All right, back to you, Joe.
All right, so interesting update from Cliff, you know, and I'd mentioned like, you know, this I should say kind of goes right in line with our live stream we just had with Woo Woo Dude. You know, a lot of stuff was discussed, or just like Penny said, you know, some things Cliff was saying goes right in line with what she was getting. So he says we've got some big temporal markers. We're approaching the point where the Alta, which is his Webbot data, had riots with subset of food shortages, language leading to the secrets revealed out of government buildings. I understand now why it happened that disclosure will be temporally commensurate with the riots and the language about food shortages. I now think that it won't happen as the Alta reports basically had suggested it. Not quite. Same result. Riots, government buildings being broken into background language about food shortages. Other chaos and release of secrets, including space alien stuff and tech. But not as the data had me thinking it would emerge. That is, not as a natural outgrowth of the riots. I now have info suggesting that Bix is correct, that there are in fact good guys, and they will be directing and managing the release of the secrets revealed packages for their own larger purpose, as a means to a greater end. I also think this will happen in August, more likely nearer the end than the beginning. Several key, minor, but related or required temporal markers have been manifest. 2 yet remain, but their order of appearance is not certain. So, any day perhaps. It's going to be freaking chaos, guys. Make sure you are where you want to be for a while. That is when I read that, I go, man, when I was on that flight, I mean, I literally had something to do. I got to get out there, do something, come back, and like urgently get home. I just felt it all over me. Get back, get your ass home, get home, go. And the whole time thinking about it, because here's the deal: we're putting in. I've got a contractor that's they already did blueprints and everything for our house here in Florida. We want to add 2 rooms. I need a room for all my freaking treasure hunting crap and drum set and all this crap to get out of my room, my wife's room, and put in there. And Ian's gonna need his own little room. So we're like, all right, we can get someone to come out. So we've said this is the plan. When he says, okay, I'm ready to go get the permit and we'll start on this date, I need 3 weeks or whatever. We just thought we'll go to New Mexico for a month. I'll take the family out there, show them the mountains and stuff, like we used to always go, and we'll Airbnb or do whatever we have to do out there in the meantime. And that way we're not here when there's, construction, little Ian's running around everywhere trying to climb ladders and God knows what else, it just won't make sense. So we're like, we're going to go to New Mexico. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I think I'm Airbnb
down
the street.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. I don't want to leave anywhere near, because all my prep shit, not that I have a lot of stuff, but it's all here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting in that RV with a few things going there and, let's see what happens. Internet's down, gas stations are down. Like, I don't need that in my life. I'm like, no, I just have this thing inside saying, don't leave the area. Like, just stay somewhat close. I mean, I could be an hour away. It'd be fine. If I wanted to go on the beach or something, just have fun with the family, maybe get a beach property, but, for a month. But anyways, that plan changed. Like, I got home and I go, oh no, he called me today, tomorrow, next day, let's go. I'm like, no, you can come. I'm gonna find Airbnb for a month. I'm out of here. I'm not leaving the state. My whole body's screaming, too late for that. That train came and gone. If you would have started last month, you'd been fine, but not now.
Where did you get that? What were you just reading?
I wasn't reading anything.
That was Cliff High sending us.
That part, yeah. That was Cliff High's email to me. I think Bix and JC and maybe one other person.
Right. Okay, because there was a line in there that reminded me. What's today? Tuesday. So this might have been on the weekend. It was after you and I talked, JC. But I was doing something. And I had this little picture in my head, or this knowing. It was a picture and a knowing in my gut. And it was that people who had access to secrets, to documents, would end up putting that out. Like, we wouldn't have to fight for that. We wouldn't have to demand declass and all that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That there were people that were just going to put that out just to help take things down. And something you said was just like that. It's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was Cliff. Yeah.
Yeah. That's...
And he may not be producing any reports these days, but his stuff from 2015, 16, 17 was incredibly accurate now.
Yeah. And
I think he's been playing with some of that stuff privately to then just send us little emails like that from time to time. And just say, hey, and some of it's kind of private, but other things it's like, no, I think we can, release this. This is probably one of those things, which is, why we do it. So
okay, yeah.
No, I felt comfortable with that. And what's interesting here too is like I'm reading some of the chat as we're talking, and there's a few people saying, hey guys, be careful. Your words manifest reality. I get that. We're not doing the doom and gloom here too. At the same time, we're asking people to stay positive. We're asking people to stay but prepared also. We don't need to ignore reality that is before us either and pretend that everything is okay. There is actually a lot happening behind us. And yes, of course, we do have a lot of help, and we do have a lot of humans who are on this planet here actively working, as Cliff just said in that email there, the good guys that Bix Weir was talking about behind the scenes. But that doesn't mean to sit on your laurels or sit on your chair and say, oh, everybody else can fix everything. I'm just going to pretend here that everything's fine.
Right.
You might not fare as well as if you take responsibility for yourself. That is the point of this show. Penny, what do you say to that?
Absolutely. I think in terms of, it's one of the things my students struggle with a lot. You have to deal with the real world and what's in front of you. You have to keep a certain level of detachment, because it is feeling that changes things. It's feeling that hooks you and that really changes energy. Talk, very, very powerful. However, you have to deal with reality. People who wander around saying, no, I'm just going to think wonderful thoughts. Well, they end up dead, or they end up stepping into a bear trap because they weren't watching where they were going.
Right.
Or
the card you had the other day, the guy about to walk off the cliff. Remember the card you pulled?
That's right, the fool.
The fool. The little dog like barking at him. Right. He's just, I'm going to walk off the cliff.
Ta-da! Yeah, that's so true. You have to have enough power to be able, within each individual, to be able to talk about what you see, discuss all the different what ifs and maybes and possibilities, and then decide and do. And power is the ability to decide and do. And you can't just decide up here and act, from a very detached point of view. When you take that action, all of your emotion has to be in that action. So choose your actions carefully and wisely, because it's that marriage of thinking and emotion and action that creates the reality.
Right.
So,
quantum healing is saying here too, yes, need to be informed, but when you get into telling the future, it can all be changed. Absolutely. Right. And Penny and I have been saying that since the beginning. We are in these competing timelines, of course, but knowing that there's a competition between these timelines gives you the opportunity, the listener, to vote for the one you want, as opposed to have the one imposed to you by some of these bad guys who really don't care what you think. So, Penny, let's talk about that, these merging timelines here, because everything is in shifting sand right now. But again, it doesn't mean that you should stand back and not be responsible for yourself. Let's dive that in.
Yeah, you have to step up. You have to take responsibility. That's just all there is to it. No responsibility, no power, period. So and the reason you look ahead is so that you can see, okay, do I like that? Or if you see something you don't like, what do I have to do to prepare for that or change it? Mm-hmm. And that's what we are about. We are such powerful people, and we haven't developed that power, and we hardly believe in it unless you've experienced it. It is difficult to believe in, but I have seen it, I have felt it, I have experienced it, I have witnessed some miracles, I have created some miracles and gone, oh my God, what did I do? It worked, that kind of thing. And right. We have to begin to try stuff. Just see, will it work? Let's try this, and shock ourselves enough to realize, wow, we do have some power. And there's two kinds of power. There's the power to do, and there's the power to not do. And I was thinking about this today. Having been a Toltec student for 43 years now, one of the big things that they teach is not doing. And so when it comes to having to make a decision, you're either going to take some action or you're going to step back and say, no. And sitting down, doing nothing at this point in time is probably 1,000 times more powerful than going out there and rioting, tearing things apart, or taking the chance of hurting somebody or getting hurt yourself. I think it's over. I mean, the social credit system was supposed to launch on, I think it was, oh my gosh, was it July 24th or something like that? And it didn't. It got taken down. And that social credit system, once that was up, it was going to be tracking everybody. It was going to be controlling a lot of stuff. It's always easier to stop something than it is to say, oh, whoops, we should have. Mm-hmm. And then you have to take it apart. That social credit system went right into the toilet. It's not functional now. And the people that were trying to put that in place are just, they're lost. They don't have the tools in place that they needed. We are winning a lot of people don't even know there's a war. But those of us who are aware know that we're winning. If you're watching behind the scenes or you're staying informed, then you know what's going on, and little things are like, ooh. But the idea of looking to see what's happening and catching something before it gets into the physical is way, way important. The other thing is the not doing. You know, I've said, I think I've said on your show, Joe, it's important to sometimes just sit out. You know, one of the things that the Robe said to me years ago was, the war will be won, or the whole thing will be over when everybody sits down and refuses to go anywhere, refuses to spend a single dime. And you only need to do that for 2 or 3 days. And the message is going to be twofold. One, to the cabal, you know, you can't make us do anything. And they lose trillions of dollars when we stop spending, stop traveling, stop going to work, stop making their corporations work. And then the other message goes to us. Wow, look at the power you have. And we don't need to be violent. We can just be absolutely silent.
Yeah.
Same effect.
Yeah, very good. Let's talk about the censorship here. We were talking about the social credit score here. Now, Joe lost his YouTube channel here a couple of weeks ago. I lost mine just a couple of days before that. So thank you everyone for hitting
your second one.
button.
Your second one.
All right. I'm getting used to all of this. And of course, now Penny just got a strike on her YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay, you and I talked about this, I believe, in the ET and human trafficking, where we talked about the white wall and what's behind it, all the positive stuff for all the people who are still in the fear frequency here. And I'm not sure why. We're just having a conversation to empower people. But we are talking about a very positive timeline moving forward. But we have a few little bumps along the way that we all need to get through here personally and collectively. But let's talk about censorship here. What do you see moving forward? How much longer are we going to be in this area where our speech and our ability to come together is hampered as it is right now? What do you see moving forward, Penny?
A month. And at that point, so much confusion reigns in the deep state organization. There's some people that are censoring one day and putting stuff out the next. They don't know what they're doing. And by the time I get to October, it's like, okay, we need the people that have been trying to encourage people to think, to prepare, to get ready to build a new world. That kind of, those kinds of voices are going to be much more free, but they might not know it yet. So they may be very timid for a while yet. Mm-hmm. And if we have no internet, you know, if it goes down and then comes back up and then goes down again and then comes back up again, that adds to the confusion drastically. We really can't afford that.
Right. Let me bring up this funny character here. You know, of course, it
I love
wouldn't
him.
be Woo without bringing up Randy Quaid. And of course, he says, yes, there is a storm coming. And of course, that relates to a lot of the I don't even want to say it here. But anyways, you guys understand. So yes, and it's good to be prepared. Now, okay, so a month, that's interesting because in the last couple of weeks, we saw new partnerships between the Anti-Defamation League and PayPal. And so similar to what happened to me on Patreon, these payment processing platforms are moving into a position where their original mandate was to disintermediate from the banks and let everybody participate. And now they're going into this role of policing what they think or what they call as being hate speech. Now, I think you and I have been accused of that, Penny, and so too did me and Janine on Tarot by Janine. Of course, there's no hate speech in our language. On the contrary, we're asking for peace and rule of law, but that's how they're labeling it. Is that also still born at this point? Where does that go from here? Or are they going to still have some traction here moving forward in trying to maybe limit people's ability to speak by turning off their capacity here at the payment processing level?
Well, you know what? Let me say this. This is something that I've seen for quite a long time. It looks like everything shuts down. I don't know what shuts it down. I don't know if it's the internet problem. I don't know if it's an EMP. I don't know if somebody flips the wrong switch somewhere along the line or what. But when it goes down, everybody is relieved. Everybody is like, okay, I need a break. I can't deal with this. I'm going to I'm going to make a cup of tea, or I'm going to go for a walk in the woods, or I'm, whatever. So there's that aspect of it. If it goes down, everybody gets a break that they weren't willing to take. And so that does, I look at that and I think, oh, wow. Okay, well, maybe I get to a little more sleep that way. The whole thing in terms of the censorship, I just, when I get out there into the middle of September, it's like they're trying to selectively shut things down. There are alternatives to everything. There are alternatives to Amazon Web, or what do you call that? Amazon Web Services. There are alternatives to payment systems. There are alternatives for everything. And so it's just what, was it you or Joe saying earlier? They're taking themselves out. They're cannibalizing themselves, and they don't even realize what they're doing. And maybe they do and they don't care. Maybe they're trying to cover their tracks, but it looks like not very much is working over the winter. So
that's very good. And Joe, what do you have to say to that on your end as well? And how can people find you, first of all, and not just on YouTube here on your second channel, but support you also on your Patreon, which is for now still active?
Yeah, I'm keeping it clean as I can. But yeah, it's patreon.com/JSNIP4. I'd like to mention a couple of things that the remote viewers got recently, Dick and those guys at Crypto Viewing.
Okay.
And, every month they do basically a look-see like Penny does. They call it something different every month for the next month to see what's the top news stories, basically, for August. So they're in August now. This is posted a few days ago. And this is, I think, their guy, Naeem. He's kind of a newer guy on their team. That he does some pretty good work, too. Older Caucasian woman, white hair, straight, wrinkles. I think it's wrinkles. He has horrible handwriting. This guy, lawmaker, Congress, Senate type, cardiac arrest ? I'm not going to share the picture, but there's one extremely powerful woman in all of Congress, and if this guy drew what he drew, and I'm looking at it right now, it's effing her.
Oh wow!
You know who it is?
Yeah, I do.
Whoa. And again, real or fake, someone's going away. So that was one interesting thing.
Joe, did we record the conversation you and I had with Dave the other day about that woman in the suit that I was talking to?
We didn't record it. No.
We didn't record that. Oh my God. Because if this is related to that, we're going to have one crazy woo-woo story for you guys moving in. Okay, keep going, Joe.
I'm going to scroll down. That was Naeem. He had several things, but he's just had one thing, and I wanted to mention that one that stuck out the most to me. I got to go back to, let's see, that's Edwards. Was it Edwards?
So, folks, if you're interested in the crypto viewing team, check them out at patreon.com/crypto viewing. They keep getting it hit after hit after hit. Amazing work there. I'll get Dick Alger back here soon because we were supposed to do another segment on Antarctica. So that will be coming up on the schedule very soon here as I get back on track with all of my recording things. And as we're talking about censorship, folks, I wanted to bring this up. I finally was able, after all of these perilous times here, to bring up the insider access pass into that main website. So you guys can port over now from Patreon, where the page is still suspended, of course, and they're not letting me back in or even to communicate with you guys there. But I was able, with Joe's help, to pull down the Patreon data and send you guys an email through my MailChimp server, which I did today. pointing you to the fact now that we have this new Insider Access Pass feature on our website, and it's a lot better than Patreon was. So I'm really happy about that. So guys, go check out your emails. You'll see that, and I'll make another specific video to this effect maybe tomorrow here for the rest of you guys here. But I did send at least first notice here to all the Patreon members today. So Serbian Mike says, thank you, JC. Thank you, Mike. Okay. Anything else on your radar, Joe? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna read a couple other things I think on this.
Okay.
So this one I think was Ed Reardon, and it will be hot like Hurricane Katrina, electricity down, southern states, Florida, Carolinas, Louisiana, swampy damage, sweltering heat, alligators in the streets. Now I'm going to tell you, I didn't tell anybody this, I don't think. Who knows? I had a dream not too long ago that there's an effing alligator on my property, like down my driveway. Now this little pond next to me is tiny. There's no alligator in its right mind that wants to hang out there when there's a lake fairly close by that's big, and that's where they are. For them to like walk over to my house would be stupid. Like it doesn't even make sense. It's not that far. So I had a dream, sizable alligator on my property, and then I hear my daughter, my youngest daughter, Ashley, Daddy, I had a dream there was an alligator in that pond of ours.
Oh.
I'm like, for real? I go, you had a dream? She goes, well, I did hear you talking about it the other day, but I did have a dream. I go, and it was in the pond, huh? I go, well, mine was inside the fence line, our gate line, or the property. Hers was just right outside. So I go, how interesting. So, you know, southern states, Florida, Carolinas, Louisiana, swampy damage, sweltering heat, alligators in the streets. And again, it may not be my house that I end up seeing an alligator, and it's just, again, them telling me this is going to be a scene somewhere. That's abnormal. There'll be a sinking element as well, he says. The swamplands, a sinking element as well. Sinkholes collapse. So some filled with water.
How far or where was the sinking?
This is all August. This is all August look-see for them. He didn't say the where of on that, the sinking. He just said
okay, because I have seen like a portion of northern Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, up a little bit, over a little bit, South Carolina, like the land drops, and it
sounds probable. Yeah. So here's the last thing I'll read from them. I'm going to give out all their stuff, obviously, but it's important. Blackouts, grid drops, electricity goes out once, twice, 3 times, unstable, grid up, grid down, grid up, grid down, lights on, lights off, a new call for infrastructure upgrades, a new necessity in conjunction to the flooding in some areas, wireless electricity, an option is considered, coastal regions affected, eastern coast line of U.S. Storm issues as well, tropical and hurricane, and it goes all the way down the east coast of Florida up to, the rest of the United States, I guess. Just a little tiny drawing he did. So looks like we got our, work cut out for us. We could definitely, and I keep telling people, like, Woo Dude's been screaming for so long. He's just been telling people, you got to get a generator. You got to get a generator. I'm telling you, you got to get a generator. You just keep screaming it. And I'm trying to repeat it for people to have something. Because like you said, you could get one of those little tiny ones that weigh like 40 pounds, like a little Honda. Or we had this little blue one we would take with us to New Mexico sometimes. And it was like a 2,200 watt unit. Now, you're not going to do too much with that. You can do one refrigerator. But you could, do a small window AC unit in maybe one room. And it hardly uses any gas. I mean, something's better than nothing. If you're in sweltering heat, and you all piled into one room with AC, that's going to be like unbelievably awesome to you when it's all over with. Yeah. So if you can't find a bigger one or you can't afford a bigger one, you could, these things are $400 or $500. Some are even cheaper.
Wow.
I don't know what else to say. Solar panels aren't going to cut it. You got to have a whole entire system for that to happen, and battery backups, and that's just not going to work. So you got to have it. Honestly, a generator is the thing. Or if you got an old ratty RV that's got a generator that works, well, go fill that sucker up with fuel. We got an RV that handles 55 gallons of gas. Yeah. So it just sits here, and if we need it, it's full. It's completely filled with gas. So that thing will last, a few days at least on that, and I can go get more gas. The grid's up, let's go get some gas. Or in Florida, some of the gas stations were actually mandated years ago to have backup systems in place. So if the power goes out, they have to be able to kick them on and get gas pumps working.
Oh, very nice.
And that was years ago. So that's, I don't know if it's every single gas station. I think it was just certain ones, maybe like along the interstate or whatever the deal was. But so that's a nice thing to know. But
wow.
I think it's time. I think people are going to get, we as humans, most of us, we are simply reactionary. I've been saying this for years. We're reactionary. We don't do shit until something happens. That's why all their generators run out. Everyone's running to Home Depot. The wood runs out. Oh, hurricanes come. Everyone's running Craigslist or tripling the price of generators, and they're still sold. Like, it's a pain in the ass. And when you have it, even if it's sitting there and you finally go, okay, oh my God, I need it.
Yeah.
It literally becomes priceless in an instant.
Exactly.
So
let's
people
talk about something that's priceless, because if I don't ask you guys, because I have you guys both here on the show,
crypto?
If I don't ask you this, I'm gonna get crucified. So let's get into silver. Now, both Woo Woo Dude and Penny have been on the record here on the show many times here, and we talked about crazy timelines in which silver was through the roof. And of course, this was also projected in the Alta reports of Cliff High way back when. Specifically, I think the last Bare Naked Wealth report, maybe 2017, in which he saw a timeline where Bitcoin would hit 64,000 and then retrench by about half. We've already seen that temporal marker happen now this year. Now, in that specific report, Cliff had also mentioned that a little bit after that, we would see a $600 per ounce silver before Christmas in that same year where Bitcoin would hit the 64. We've just done that now in terms of the Bitcoin prediction. Woo Woo Dude on our last show was talking about the fact that he saw at some point here in the near future $50,000 per silver tube. So that would bring it somewhere between the $2,000, maybe $3,000 mark per ounce. But that, I think he was looking into more 2022, 2023 with that one. So let me start with you here, Penny, and then I'll ask you, Joe, to maybe recap your last conversations with Woo Woo Dude with respect to silver. So what do you have for the audience here in terms of silver? And let me just remind the audience too, when you and I last talked about this in the last couple of look-sees, you had seen silver go up to 800, then retrench back to 500 in the April-May timeframe, but that whole timeline has a shift forward. So let's take it from there.
Okay. I saw that, and then it didn't happen. And so I thought, oh, okay. A lot of people kept asking me about that. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I just figured, okay, I screwed that up. That was a mistake. That wasn't clear, something, whatever. And I stopped looking at silver. But then this last look-see, there I was really shocked. I was so shocked, and I was so, what do you call it, like gun shy to say anything. It's like, oh, wow, silver is up. I saw it up back to the 800 thing again. And then it dropped back to the high 500s, 600 maybe. And then, a day or so later, I was thinking about that. It's like, did I see that correctly? That, that looked like that was coming by the end of this year. And so then I was looking again, just kind of casually, not really focused on it. I was doing something else. My hands were busy, but I had this vision again. I was like, well, how high can that possibly go? As soon as I asked that question, what I came up with, what I saw in a flash was an outrageous, like 3 times $600, $1,500 to $2,000. I was like, well, that can't be right. But because I saw it, and because I was not really looking at it from the point of view of, okay, let's look, what do I see? It was just this offhand casual question, which is sometimes when you get your truest vision at that point. I made a note of that and thought, whoa, I don't dare say that. But it did look to me like we were going to see 800, and gold's going up pretty dramatically as well, and crypto's going up pretty dramatically as well, and stuff there were a lot of people trying to get into the crypto things, not knowing what they were doing. It was a little bit of chaos. It was a lot of chaos around cryptos, but they kept going up, and then they hit a high point, and then there was a correction. And then they went back down. I thought after, like in January, and I thought, oh, they're just like the stock market. It goes down every January. But it didn't, it stayed down, and it kind of went, I call it waffling, where it doesn't really go up a lot or down a lot.
Sideways. We just call it going sideways.
Yeah. Okay. It's going sideways. That's a good term. And then it started creeping up again. So I thought, okay, all right, we'll see what happens.
Okay. So let me bring that into the context in the real world here for people saying, oh, you guys are just full of woo-woo. Well, in the real world here, we're having the U.S. Mint to this global silver shortage. We're seeing lawsuits everywhere of people trying to convert their synthetic silver derivative holdings into the physical, and getting a notice that they can't do that, or that there's extreme delays, even though they're supposed to be in allocated accounts. So we're seeing that happen here across the world. And of course, we have this microchip shortage, which needs silver, by the way. And so there's issues there all around. So Joe, let me bring it back to you. What do you see here moving forward? Either from yourself here again to your shamanic dreamings, or some of your conversations with Woo Woo Dude, and place that in context with what Cliff High calls wooflation. And again, folks, if you're just joining us now and you're still looking for Cliff High, he's no longer on YouTube here. You can find him on his BitChute channel. That's bitchute.com/Cliff_High. So Joe, wooflation, silver, what are the prices going to be?
Yeah, even to date, I don't think I've ever asked even once for dreams at night when I ask certain questions to try to get the answer for like silver or gold. I don't think I've ever sat down or laid down and go, like, Spirit, can you show me, like, where's, I just haven't done it with those for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I'll tell the audience, JC will remember this, and this is probably going back 2 years now, because it's probably our last trip in New Mexico was 2019. And JC goes, oh fuck, I forgot to tell you guys, and he's like, I had this, was it a dream or a vision? Do you remember?
It was a vision.
A vision. Yeah. He goes, we bought a ranch. The three of us bought a ranch. And for my portion, he goes, I remember explicitly selling silver. So silver was worth a lot. And I just sold off some silver for my portion. That was my 1/3. And it had to be really high for me to do that. And I go, well, thanks for telling us now. You forgot about that? Like, that's pretty, dude, that's something we needed to know. I forgot. Dave were busting his balls on that. Like, come on, man, that's good stuff. But he's like, yeah. And there was like this old smelter thing. He goes, there's like an antique smelter thing like on the property. He goes, I remember seeing this. He goes, so I don't know if we found one and brought it to the property, or like the property had it already. Mm-hmm. Like us digging in the mountains, So I'm like, well, that's cool. So I'll never forget that, That means, like prices now, I wouldn't be wanting to sell my silver to, even if I'm him or whoever, like to do something. No, hell no. But $600, $800, $1,500, I might be selling some silver just because at those prices.
Yeah.
For no reason, actually.
Right. And that brings us in to some of the forecasts, and Cliff's jokingly here, but he's serious about that. There's a reason for all that. It's for your health. That's all I'll say here, not to get in trouble. But Cliff has had in his models here for quite some time this idea of us moving into this sci-fi world, and a big part of that was the new electrics, and in that, of course, silver being a big component. So not only are we seeing crazy investment demand, and as Andy Scheckman has been telling us here for the last couple of months, all of these big institutional, big money firms, these sovereign funds, they are taking at a rapid clip all the physical silver off the COMEX and other institutions alike around the world. So they are front running something perhaps that is in Cliff High's report and all of these woo-woo and crypto viewing reports as well. So guys, if you're looking for silver, let me bring that up actually, because Andy Scheckman gave us a very good discount for the members here at BeyondMystic. So let me share that with you on the screen. He will be back on Thursday, but right now the current promo is this one here. Why is that coming on the screen? Did I change screens? Hold on a second here. Let me bring that back up. What just happened? Where did you go? Of course, I'm talking about this. Silver. There you go. Okay. So, Miles Franklin, right now, the promo for the Beyond Mystic audience are these 1 ounce silver Britannias. They're in stock and ready to ship. And this is the amazing above spot price available for the Beyond Mystic audience. Now, Andy, again, is coming up on the show this Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m. And we're going to get into this world silver shortage here and how all that ties into the woo. Okay, so very quickly, folks, XRP. I see everybody. Hey, everybody, talk to me about XRP. Okay, so there, let me just bring in Janine, who I do weekly shows with, and we do this Beyond a Crypto Woo report every month. And the last one is now available on our site. It is this one here. And in there, we again tracked XRP. And since the beginning of tracking XRP, she always brought up the card that said, it is moving out of troubled waters, and then eventually extreme fortune, words to that effect. Penny, have you been looking at XRP? And I'll finish with Joe on that one. Where do you see it going?
I have not really looked at it, but I'll share a funny little story. I have some stuff on Coinbase, and so I hadn't looked at it for a while, and so one day I go in and I discover that somehow, I don't know how, I had not bought XRP. There's something in me that said, no, that's not going anywhere. That's junk, or that's not the kind of people I want to support, or whatever it was. It just, I had this thing like, and I get in there this one day, and I discover I have, excuse my French, a shit ton of XRP that somehow, I don't know how, I must have hit something that said buy some every week. And I was like, and I hadn't looked for like 2 or 3 months. And I was like, oh my God, what? Oh, so I have kind of paid attention to it a little bit more. I thought, well, I'm not going to dump it. This is appearing in my wallet.
It's there for a reason.
Yeah, so I'm kind of watching XRP just to see, well, what happens there? Why did that? I never do anything on it. I don't follow people. I don't like things on the, when I go to the computer, I just kind of quietly, silently move around. I don't subscribe to anything or anybody, and I certainly don't subscribe to cryptos on a weekly basis, but I've got some XRP now.
Nice. That's a great story.
Yeah,
that spirit wanted to make sure you got yours.
Evidently.
Like, man. Yeah. So it's funny, today I was just driving, I was getting something to eat earlier, and I was bringing some food back for everybody else here, and I'm like, all right, Spirit. As soon as I left the parking lot, I go, all right, Spirit, it's just like, I got orders still low. I'm not completely out of the market on anything really. I just, I trade, so I have a trade bag. But sometimes I do get a little crazy and do more than I should, or what I might advise other people to do, because I can handle the emotions, other people can't. So if it moves that they freak out, I'm not going to freak out. I'll wait. I'm patient. Right. So I'm like, my hodl bag's fine, but I got a few trades that will really be great if this happens. These low prices. So I'm like, Spirit, this is today, by the way. I'm like, Spirit, show me the 22 that I'm like being flooded with lately, which was my initial sign for XRP dumping, actually. But it has more than that meaning, and Woo Dude's made that clear. But I'm like, Spirit, show me the 22 on my way home, like a couple times, or maybe a 222 even. If this dump is still if it's still coming, show it to me. So almost right away, boom, 22 on the license plate. Okay. And I'm turning right, well, another 22. Well, there's 2. Okay, I'm like, thanks, Spirit. And then my brain, of course, is like, ask for a third one. And I'm telling myself, you're getting greedy, man. Spirit just showed you 2. You asked for 2. Shut up. Like, I'm telling myself to shut up in my own head. Like, shut up. You've already asked for 2. They gave you 2. But I can't stop thinking about it. Like, man, it would be kind of fun. It would be kind of cool if I did get one more 22 on the way home, just because. So I'm at the stop sign. There was a car in front of me, a truck, like a pickup truck, and it turns left. And there was a car behind him, actually. So I can see them as I'm like coming up the stop sign, but I'm nowhere near close enough to see any like license plate numbers or anything. So they both turn left. I get up the stop sign, and that car behind him is like I'm going around this truck. I'm hauling ass. So I go, well, that one's out of range, because by the time I even kind of get up there, I got to turn to make my street, and that's it. So the best chance I've got right now for one more stupid 22 is that damn truck. That's it. It's the only vehicle out here. So I'm kind of hauling ass to get up to it, because I just have to see, stupid monkey mind. And I look at it. It ain't no damn 2. I don't even think there's a 2 on the license plate. And I'm like, who cares? You got the 2 of them. They already showed you 2. You asked for 2, you idiot. So I caught up. I see the license plate, and I'm turning my turn signal to start turning. When he starts braking, and I look, I was like, oh, there's a tow truck backing up into this guy's house across the street, basically the main street that we're both on. And, within 200 feet is my turn. So we're both slowing down now so the tow truck can back in, And I'm like, oh, well, they have license numbers, like license, tow truck. And I look at the number, and I go, that's it's not. And then I see the tow truck number itself of the fleet, 22.
Oh.
And I go, son of a bitch, the last vehicle I see in my right turn. I was like, only Spirit could do that. This is not even possible. So that was my question. If this dump's happening like this one more time, like these big numbers I'm waiting for, low numbers, like, give me the signs. I got 3 of the 222s or 22s. And it's just been, honestly, the last few days, it has been out of control, that number, how much I've seen it lately. So I know, again, more than one reason. It's not just crypto, like Woodoo said. They kept saying this 22 is attached to a lot of different things, by the way. Yeah. So I've been seeing it like crazy. But I did ask on the way home, like, if the crypto market things happen, please show me the 22s, And I got them. I got 3 of them. So I'm like, okay, that's in the distance I went. I'm like, that's a lot. That's actually 3 different things in a short distance. I'm like, yeah. Okay. So anyways, my orders are really low. I got them. I haven't changed them. And if this happens again with the power outages, up, down, internet down, you're talking about, like, my mind goes, well, what would crypto do in these kind of scenarios, especially internet down?
Yeah.
Panic selling. Oh, panic. I can't get online. Panic. I can't get in my account. Oh. Sell. Is what I think would happen, honestly. Mm-hmm. So, the other issue is this guy on the screen, McAfee. If his thing starts triggering, which they said it already has, it just hasn't given out the data that we're waiting for. But if it starts giving out the data that he talked about, which would bury some high-level officials on the most terrible things you've ever heard of, which we all know about, they need to shut not only the internet down, would be a good idea, but the crypto market with it. Which if the internet goes down, well, the crypto market kind of goes with it. Or if it's done on his NFT that they're saying that's a crypto specific thing, they might take cryptos down. Again, this would not, in my opinion, make cryptos rise. They would dump on this type of situation, in my opinion, just briefly, and then, okay, off to the races we go maybe afterwards. And that's
one of the things I've seen with cryptos is that there is an attempt to take it down, and the people are like, no, they continue to make up their own stuff until it actually comes back. I can't imagine how that would work, but there's a period where people are using all sorts of things for money. I'm going to say there's like a half a dozen currency systems in operation or in use, and then eventually some things settle down, and cryptos are very, very valuable in the end.
That's interesting, because what you just said there about people just saying, no, we're taking over. It kind of reminds me, a couple of months ago, Joe and I were doing a show, I believe it was Kenya, it could have been another African country, where they were trying to legislate people so that they couldn't use cryptocurrency. And
totally
said,
failed.
Oh yeah? We'll show you.
Oh really?
So they used the disintermediation and other partners in other countries, and basically after 2 weeks of the government trying to stop it, they eventually capitulated and made Bitcoin one of their reserve currencies, and just said, can't beat them, but join them. So that is the power of human ingenuity, and especially when we all come together in a decisive manner as to what we want to create for ourselves and the abundance we all deserve here on the planet. Joe?
No, that's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. Oh, man. A few people in the chat just said, "Oh, we can do another 2 hours." I can't, guys. It's my third show today.
Yeah.
I'm confused, but I'm sure my guests are as well. This is a long show. But thank you so much, everybody. And everybody says, "Come back, guys. We need to do this true."
Yeah.
Again, of course, you're always invited.
The Three Amigos is already taken, so we need something else.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll do
something cool. Okay. All right. So let me start with you, Josie, since you're on the screen here. Any words of wisdom for the audience here watching the show? Of course, we want to make sure nobody drops into the freer frequency. We want to empower them. We want to help them raise their frequency and stand strong in their knowing that they've got this. They came here for a reason. They have a role to play, and we're all waiting for each other to play that role and do what we're supposed to do here. As Dr. Richard Allen Miller said the other day, he says, "I can't leave this planet until you do what you're supposed to do, because I am you and you are me." So we're all in this together. Last words of wisdom, Joe.
Yeah, don't get caught in the fear. You know, if you're standing on a train track and you hear a train coming, think, analyze, oh, I'm on a train track, let me move off the track. Mm-hmm. You don't have to freak out and flip out and do a backflip off the track. Just simply walk off the track and reassess what's going on. Let the train go by. Okay, now get back on the track if you needed to walk down there for some reason. That's what it is. You can't walk on the sides. You got to walk on the train track. Well, step aside and stop walking for a second. Train goes by, get back on there. Just don't be in fear. But preparing also isn't fear. It's, having a generator, having extra food. And again, I mentioned this not too long ago. I said, look, go on Amazon. And I think I even showed it was on my Patreon. I was like, look how cheap a giant, like 24-pack or 36-pack of tuna fish is. It's still freaking cheap. Grab some. Look at these soup cans that are also 12 packs, big 18 ounces or whatever they are, relatively cheap. And they'll deliver them right to your stinking house on Amazon. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go out and lug these things out. The only time you got to lug them is when they drop them off at your door. Lug them into the house. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's plenty there to last a while. And again, nothing happens. Guess what? Eat it. Eat it. Save some money on eating in the meantime, There you go. Or give it away to some of your friends, actually. Some of your friends will take. We have a friend that will take anything like that we give away. She'll grab it in a heartbeat. So it's like, oh, I'll give it to her. Some of it. We'll eat some of it. Oh my. That's it.
Very good advice. Thank you, Joe. And how about yourself, Kelly, about raising frequency, not being in fear, but being in the empowerment that comes with having the knowledge and knowing that you have your role to play and that you chose to come here at this time to play that specific role?
Yeah. Amen. All those people that have been saying for since the 1960s, well, we came here for a reason. It's about love, make love, not war, all that stuff. This is their moment. That was just practice run. The whole thing now is, come on, let's get busy creating the new world. Stay focused on that. What do you want? Where are you going? How do you want this system to work? Get excited. That the world needs to be recreated, and you have a chance to have a say. So speak up.
And you want to be around because, as we talked earlier, Cliff High's stuff, the one I read about Secrets Revealed coming, there's going to be some freaking cool stuff that we will ultimately get our hands on.
Yeah,
I think you want to be around. You don't want to get this far and not deal with that cool stuff, do you?
That's right.
Exactly.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
You have to break a few eggs to make the omelet, and of course, I want to eat that good omelet at the end of it. Right. So, sci-fi world, here we come, and of course, the new abundance and Earth, here we come. And I want to be here also because of my children. So I have 3 beautiful girls, and I'm seeing the world through their eyes. I know we've been going through the rigmarole here for quite some time, but I'm excited to see how they are going to take charge and create this new Earth. That's what it's going to be really cool. And Joe has a new baby boy also who was born out of some magic. we could do a whole other show on that. Yes. But that's amazing. So folks, go hug your children and stay prepared, stay informed, raise your frequency, not only for yourself, but for your kids, because we're all here to make sure that they will be able to do what they're supposed to do as well. And of course, that future is really, really bright when you put it into those perspectives. Okay, guys, before we go, I want to remind you here, the coupon code here for the silver silver on Beyond Mystic is actually the link is beyondmystic.net/silver. It's in the link below. These are the 1 ounce silver Britannias available from Miles Franklin. They ship almost immediately to you guys, and Andy will be on the show here in the next day or two with more promos for you guys as well. Now, if you want to go deeper into the Beyond Crypto Woohoo to get some information on both crypto, gold, and silver, and also the real estate market, check out this episode number 3 here. It's available now on our Beyond Mystic pay-per-view website for you guys. And last but not least, please remember to like, share, and subscribe here on our third backup channel. And yes, go and subscribe to Joe, JSNIP4, to there's that 4,300 subscribers here from 100,000. So there's still 94,000 people.
I get people emailing, Joe, you've done a video. You still all right? You getting time out again? I go, dude, I'm terminated. Oh shit, I didn't know. I because I'm like, well, here's the new channel, JSNIP4 too. So there's God only knows.
Yeah.
How many people are just and the thing is, like, you go out, and I said this more than once, guys. Go in my description box. Here it is. Copy these. This is where I'll be if something happens.
Right.
But people are people. We're lazy and they don't look, and I don't care. I don't have time for that. And all of a sudden, well, this is what happens. So, yeah, it is what it is.
So, folks, do go and check out JSNIP42 here on YouTube and help him out also on his Patreon at patreon.com/JSNIP4. And finally, you can find, of course, Penny, the lovely Penny, at Penny Kelly here on YouTube. Please do go and subscribe there, and check out also her Patreon at patreon.com/Penny Kelly. So this was the Wacky Woo with JSNIP4 and Penny Kelly. I love it, but yeah, you're right. We should find a cool.
Gotta have a name, man. We gotta have a name.
We gotta have a name. So, folks, actually, let's do this. Let's engage the audience here tonight. If you're watching the show, there's 1,600 left here in the chat right now. Tell us what you think the name of this trio should be for the next episode. Put that in the comment section below, and Penny, Joe, and myself are going to look at that and choose a winner maybe next week before we schedule the next show.
What's that? The Woo Crew.
The Woo Crew is not bad, actually.
That's kind of funny.
I like that.
You like that?
I like that too.
Well, the pole shift? Somebody said the pole shift? Okay. Yeah, maybe. All right. So, guys, put that in the comment section below, and we're gonna have fun with that, and maybe we'll give away I'll give away an ounce of silver to that winner. So whoever we choose in terms of this new title for this trio, I'll give you guys an ounce of silver. Maybe Joe will chip in, and we'll see, but I'll at least give you 1 ounce of my silver coin. All right, folks. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic. Thank you so much for watching. Merci beaucoup, Joe. And merci beaucoup.
I'm the guy that goes get slapped in the head.
I think that was Curly, Larry Moe.
Yeah, Curly. It was Curly.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's
my God. Okay.
Oh wow!
You guys are making me blush. All right. So as Cliff High says, Joe has balls of titanium and the shiny head to match. So there you go. We'll end the show on that. Thank you so much, Cliff, for being in the chat and adding some comical relief and also some really, really cool videos on your big channel. We love you, Cliff. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
See you guys.